Hello and welcome to Gardening with Luck, Episode 1. Gasp, I know, not Minecraft. I think it's an Arabica strain, or at least that is what I was sold, but it's hard to identify without flowers or fruit. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps this video out, and anyways, let's begin. So why make this video, Luck? Well, this is not my first tropical plant. I actually had papaya trees, which had leaves larger than my hand, and through growing those, I learned a lot of what not to do with these. And I want to share all that info with all of you. First lesson. And this is pretty self-explanatory, but tropical plants don't want to be inside a house. I know, what a shocker. Now what do you mean? So for me, I'm lucky. I have a window that has crazy sun. So mildew and mold-based pests were never an issue. But this same perfect window betrayed me. You see, the papaya I grew from seed, so they never came from outside. And I learned later on that spider mites can actually live in the feathers of birds. So as I enjoyed the hum of the singing birds, they were secretly trying to take out my papaya. And they kind of did. I was always worried that my coffee would be next, but thankfully I was saved. So let me rewind. I was inspired to get coffee watching growers in Hawaii water their fields of coffee. They did this using a very coversome shower style watering that they did from top down, and I always thought that was strange, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. Fast forward, I'm working a second job at a plant nursery, and I see at the corner of my eye one of those clustered pots of coffee, but half dead. Pretty much what you'll see online when you Google Arabica coffee for sale. Just a bunch of plants in a tiny pot. It was in rough shape. Every leaf had a brown spot, and the other half were cut in half. I was told it was to stop whatever was happening, but as you can see, not a single brown leaf here. Remember I mentioned those weird showers the farmers gave their coffee? Well, look at this. This thick resin happens to form around all the new growth. Most of the time, if misted or showered like on a farm, it pops off. But if you don't keep those leaves wet and in full sun, that same resin can nip the ends of the baby leaves. The other thing is this plant is brutal. If a leaf does not get sun, it'll just kill it off. So beyond misting, something I do weekly is rotate the plant. By rotating and misting, more or less, is why my plant is so large and nice. Now back to those spider mites. Now I did go away for a week, and the coffee, which doesn't mind drying out too much, did show signs of spider mites. So I know that's still around and on the coffee, but it seems my incessant spraying to keep the resin down naturally fought them off. But the coffee otherwise does seem more resilient to spider mites. Now if you're wondering, if I just keep my place wet, the spider mites won't have a field day. And you're kind of right, but you might run into mold issues in your place that you live in general. That said, ironically, the tropical plants don't seem to mind dry in general. The bigger issue is they just don't have any natural ways to fight off the spider mites. So you gotta find that balance. And for me, it was no more papaya next to it and lots of misting. That said, apart from spider mites and misting, these plants don't seem to like to share. So if you buy those giant clumps you see online, separate them as soon as possible. Even if the roots get along at first, they'll lose their leaves competing for sun. And until they flower or berry, that's kind of the best part of these plants. Second tip, super drainy soil. This soil is almost half perlite with a natural peat potting soil mix. You want to keep your soil towards the acidic side, but more or less it seems like this plant is pretty tolerable to a neutral potting mix. The water runs right through the bottom of these, and the roots don't mind sitting in a centimeter or two of water as long as you keep them in a lot of sun and the room warm. I've seen online that they don't like cold water. I have not tried pouring ice on them, but I do straight tap water with no issues, and I have used ice water as well. I water mine once a week or less if the sun is not out. Pretty much, if it's warm and really sunny, I water them as much as I can, maybe every 3 days. The fertilizer I water down is a 4-4-4 blend, and after watering it almost every other water, I'll pour in a little bit of fertilizer in the basin that they're kept. This is probably why some leaves are just huge and some are not. I sort of eyeball this part. Now, if you have crazy sun window and you don't mind a grow light or two, 8 out of 10, I would recommend this plant. It's fun, it grows fast, and it will tilt all the way back after rotating. For a small tree, it's actually a lot of movement. I do love the leaves, and I do hope for some great smelling flowers in the future. Apparently, they smell like gardenias, and you can just Google gardenia flowers. They smell very nice. When it does flower and make fruit, I should be able to identify it, and hopefully I'll make an update video. Maybe I'll make a very small cup of coffee. Anyways, I hope you like this non-Minecraft content. I also like other stuff, and I hope you don't mind that stuff along with the Minecraft videos. I'm still doing Minecraft stuff. If you like this video, consider giving it a like or subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know, look into getting a coffee yourself or research getting some weird niche tropical plant that you'd have fun with. Okay, thanks, bye!